Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Myles. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about why you should not be buying real estate in your personal name. A lot of people make the mistake of buying real estate, putting it in their personal name, when really you should be protecting your assets. So that's what LLCs are for. LLCs are designed to help you protect assets. It's what's called inside protection and outside protection, and we'll talk about that in a second. So here are a couple of mistakes that people make. Number one, they put their properties in their personal name. You do not want to do that. It's basically just showing anyone and everyone, hey, I own these properties. So if there's any sort of liabilities or anything like that, they know who owns these properties and they can come after you for those properties because they're tied to you personally, right? The second mistake that people make is they realize, wait a minute, I should put properties in an LLC. So let me just go Google how to create an LLC. And then they just go online and hire LegalZoom or just basically create an LLC willy-nilly and not really understand the benefits and how to structure it in the right way to give you the benefits that LLCs are supposed to give you, which is asset protection. So you don't want to do that. You want to use a company that is actually doing this on a daily basis. This is their business model. They understand how to structure LLCs, create LLCs. And if you're going to be a true entrepreneur and a business owner, you want to outsource that to people who are doing that professionally. It's the same thing like if you were going to buy real estate, you wouldn't be doing your own closings. You hire a closing attorney because that's what they do all day, every day. So please, 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 you might have people out there telling you, oh, this is how you set up an LLC the right way. You can do it by yourself, et cetera, et cetera. Guys, I would just encourage you, just outsource that. I do not set up any of my LLCs. I have like 9 LLCs at this point, and I have a company that does that. And the link is actually in the description of who does all of my corporate structure LLC, from the trust to the holding company to the LLCs, which we're going to talk about. But you want to utilize people who do this professionally so you don't make any mistakes. So after we talked about people putting properties in their personal name, you don't want to do that. Secondly, you don't want to go online and just create an LLC. You want to have a professional actually create the LLC. Let's kind of talk about LLCs a little bit. So number one, an LLC is best used for asset protection. So again, kind of the mistakes that people make is they'll go and create their own LLC, but you can actually look up property owners, or you can look up the owner of an LLC. You can look up the information, who organized, who created the LLC, who's the registered agent. You can actually do this search, an LLC search for a particular LLC. And people who set it up the wrong way, which is honestly a lot of people, I'd probably say more than half, it'll just show their address as like basically the address of the business, or it'll show their name as the registered agent. And it's like, dude, what was the whole purpose of having an LLC if you're not protecting yourself and separating your asset from you personally? So you don't want to do that. What you want to do when it comes to setting up your LLC the correct way is you want to actually have a business address, a virtual business address. There are companies that actually will essentially like rent out or lease out. You can pay for essentially like virtual office space in their like high rise in their office building, so it looks super professional and it's an actual business address. You don't want to put your own personal address because again, it kind of defeats the purpose of having an LLC and having asset protection. Now, the company that I work with, in terms of anonymity, which means none of my name, none of my personal information or anything are on my LLCs. The registered agent, the organizer, the person who's signing, everything is a third party, so there's nothing tied to me personally to my LLCs. That's how you want to set it up. Again, if you want a company who could do it that way and does it the right way, then just go to the link in my description where it says LLC help and LLC structures. Just go click that link. You basically can just get on a call with them and it's just a consultation. I mean, they're not selling you anything. You literally ask them a ton of questions. That's what I did. I got on a call with them and I drilled them with questions because I wanted to know exactly how all of these things were set up. So number one, that's really important about setting up the LLC, is making sure none of your personal information is on the LLC, including the LLC itself. You don't want to, like, my name is Myles Berrio, so I don't want to put Myles Berrio LLC. Some people make the mistake of that as well. Again, guys, the idea of an LLC is asset protection. It should be protecting you, separating the asset from you personally, right? So now let's go into the benefits of an LLC outside of, you own an LLC, so you get tax write-offs and things like that. You have what's called inside protection and outside protection. All LLCs have inside protection. So when you file for an LLC, whatever is inside that LLC, what happens is, let's say I own a property and I have a tenant that ends up suing me for whatever situation, or suing the LLC. Basically LLC gets a lawsuit. Then what ends up happening is whoever's bringing that case against, the LLC or the owner of the LLC, they can really only go after the assets within that LLC because that's within the LLC. if it's a company, if it's a service, or if it's a business, whatever the case may be, the LLC is who they're suing. So all of your personal assets, your car, your house, money that you have outside of that business, all those things that are not attached to that LLC, that's why LLCs have inside protection. It allows for that individual only to go after what's in that LLC. Now, if you don't do this the right way, you won't get the second benefit, which is outside protection, meaning people basically finding out that you are the owner of the LLC, right? And there are 3 states that are very business friendly that help with outside protection that you should really consider: Wyoming, Delaware, and Nevada. So Wyoming, Delaware, and Nevada, those are states that you can form your LLC holding company to give you full anonymity. So what do I mean by that, guys? Essentially, the way you want to structure your corporate structure is, let's say you're investing in real estate and you have a property or a state. Like I am in South Carolina, so I have business in South Carolina that I'm operating. I can create the business that I'm actively working out of and file it in South Carolina. But what I would have wanted to do first is create a holding company in somewhere like Nevada, Wyoming, or Delaware. And there's nothing, actually, there's no real estate or, in that holding company. That's why it's called a holding company, or sometimes you hear a parent company. What that holding company owns is the LLC. Wherever state that I'm actively doing business in, that holding company owns that LLC. Now, if that holding company is in one of those 3 states, Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming, what's really cool about those states is those states don't require for the owner to basically be identified. It doesn't name who that owner is, and you basically have what's called anonymity. So the way my corporate structure is set up is I have a holding company that owns an LLC that owns other LLCs. So anytime someone's like, okay, who owns this LLC? It just shows another LLC. Someone says, okay, let's try and find who owns that LLC. It just shows another LLC. And they're like, gosh, okay, who owns this LLC? And then it's like a holding company. And then obviously because of where it was filed, my holding company is filed in Wyoming. It doesn't even have, it's so hard. It's even harder because it's not required that I have who owns that LLC, who organized it, or any of those things that are actually identified or public, essentially. And of course, I have a trust over all of that, which is ultimately how you want to do it, is you have a trust be the beneficiary. Now, the trust doesn't own the holding company, because if I were to file my taxes, I would have what's called an estate tax, and it's much more expensive. So kind of get around that, I have the living trust be the beneficiary of the holding company. And what ends up happening is if anything were to happen with any of the LLCs, it sort of triggers and goes into that trust, and everything is laid out within the trust in terms of a will and all those things to, to lay out what happens with properties if I were to pass away. So let's say if I passed away, then all of the assets and whatnot would essentially trigger going into the trust, and then everything else would be outlined within that trust. But the trust is a beneficiary, right? So that's kind of the ultimate structures. You have a trust, and then you have that trust be the beneficiary, or it owns it if you don't mind paying the estate tax. You have the trust that owns that holding company. That holding company then owns the LLCs. Very, very important for you guys to understand. You do not want to buy real estate in your personal name. You want to have a corporate structure set up the correct way, where you have a holding company in one of those 3 states, Nevada, Delaware, or Wyoming, and then have your LLCs be owned under that. Now, you might be thinking like, man, that sounds like a lot. Exactly. So you want to leverage a company that absolutely does this the right way. And again, if you go to the link in the description, I use a company called Prime Corporate Services, and that's who set up my entire corporate structure. And I mean, they're absolutely amazing. I mean, it's just, I can't even talk enough about it. I mean, every single time I need an LLC or something, I just reach out to them. Done deal. It's done. If you go through that link, it's the link that was created with my students. So you're going to kind of get a little bit of a, they kind of treat you a little bit better if you reach out to them, obviously, through that link, because that's associated with our community. So, and of course, I get a little kickback, for doing that. But it's all about helping you guys out, because that's who I actually use. It's not just some random thing that I'm putting out there to sell to you guys. They hook me up for hooking them up, and I'm hooking you up by hooking you up with them, right? So it's just a whole beneficial. Everyone benefits in this deal. So, but anyway, guys, I just wanted to share that with you. You definitely want to understand when you're buying real estate, to buy real estate in LLCs, not your personal name, and have holding companies and have a corporate structure set up. If you have questions about how to set things up better, just reach out to Prime Corporate. They'll, PCS, essentially, they will absolutely help you when it comes to setting up your LLC and any questions that you have. So thank you guys for watching this. Hopefully that really opened your eyes to understand, there's no need to put my assets in my personal name because the whole idea is to protect my assets. And if it's in my personal name, I'm not doing that. So you want to have it in an LLC, and you don't want to do it by yourself because, again, you still could not have your assets protected based on how you set up this structure in the LLC. So you want to have a third party do it. So thank you guys for watching another video on this YouTube channel. Again, just trying to give you guys really quick, straight to the point nuggets that are going to help you in your business. And I'll see you guys in the next video.